All right, welcome to Prefessional Podcast, episode number 13. Been a little while since we did one of these. So a few things I want to cover. Obviously the raid, we're going to talk some Mythic Plus. I got a surprise project, some stuff going on with YouTube. And you can obviously see I'm not in my normal suit. Got my merch in. Got to admit. Prefessional tank holding the line. Comfortable hoodie. You can find it down linked in the comments below. Got to say, overly impressed with the quality of the hoodie here. It is oversized, and that's what I like to do. This is my new gaming hoodie, so I'll be wearing this at nighttime or during the day, like if I'm chilling around the house and just deciding to game. I did go with like a large sizer than I had originally planned. I wear a large. I got an extra large, and it's actually a little too big. So they do perfectly on the sizing aspect. So whatever size you get, I would suggest to get like that size that you wear. Unless you do like it really, really big. Like I said, this is going to be like my around the house, so I don't mind it being like super big, but it's nice. It's nice. It's comfortable. The inside's actually even really nice, warm. I'm impressed. I really am. I wasn't sure what to expect, honestly, with the product and all that, but gotta say, overly impressed. The picture as well, came out really, really nice. So I was a little concerned about that. I went above and beyond over the guidelines that they suggested. So as I created the picture, I scaled it up drastically to a massive size. That way, when they shrink it down onto the shirt or like a cup or whatever they're putting it on, it maintains a lot of the detail, like as much as possible. So honestly, I can't stress enough. I'm actually really, really impressed with it. So, yeah, merch store, all that goodies. Stuff's down in the comments below, and when I get other stuff in, I'll show it on stream too. Waiting on my mug. That's the next thing. I need to upgrade. All right, so I'll cover YouTube stuff at the end. Things are going really great with YouTube. Wing videos all are completed. I'm working on for tanks only. So let's talk about the raid. Right, let's talk about the Liberation of Undermine Raid. And I've already made a short about it in terms of my thoughts on it. I actually think this is probably the best raid that they've come out with since I've been back in WoW. In comparison, I came back at the end of Shadowlands, but I don't really count Shadowlands as playing because I was just there for like the last season, so nothing really mattered, right? I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on Shadowlands. But, Dragonflight and then the War Within with Nerobar Palace, I felt like the best raid that they had done in terms of like the actual gameplay and mechanics was Aberrus. I didn't like the final boss of Aberrus. I thought Sarkarth was a horrible final boss. I'm just not a fan of him, of the Drakthir in general. So it was a really weak in-game. I felt Neltharion should have been like the final boss, but, whole nother ranting topic there. Aberrus was the most well done in terms of mechanically finished, in my opinion. Somebody's going to disagree with that, I'm sure. Amir Drasil, I felt like was probably the most pretty one. I wasn't a huge fan of Nerobar Palace. It was cool, but it just wasn't there for me. It didn't hit right, but I'm not a huge fan of like the Nerubians in general. So Liberation comes out. First of all, massive fan of the goblins. I love the goblins. By far my favorite race. That's not like the main core races. And yeah, the vibe, everything with it is great. The new zone, amazing. Raid is amazing. Mechanically speaking, the raid is amazing. A lot of that has to do obviously with how Blizzard updated their visuals in terms of like the swirly and the circle mechanics. So long overdue, and it's something I actually complained about back in Dragonflight when I came back to the game. I was like, why the fuck is it so difficult to see stuff? So they did it. They updated it. It looks great. It doesn't ruin the immersion. It just makes the gameplay so much better. There's still some issues. I'm going to talk about it. Still some issues. But in a general sense, such a fucking drastic improvement. And they just need a little bit more to do, and it'll be like, wow, perfect. But it's getting there. So let's talk about the bosses, okay? I've fully cleared it, obviously on LFR. I've fully cleared it on normal, like multiple times. I'm progging heroic, and so I don't want to talk about heroic yet until I am progging Gallywix, or until I clear it. And so I'll come back to that like in a later podcast. But let's talk about normal. First of all, Vexy, I think, is the one of the most notable entry bosses that we've had in the raid since I've been back. Like hands down, easiest is the most notable in terms of entry raid. You know, somebody, it never fails. Pretty much somebody always gets wiped out by the boss coming in and swirling around. It's a cool entry. Speaking of the boss itself and the mechanics, very unique boss. It takes me back to the old war days of, I can't remember what the boss's name. I'm drawing a complete blank, but you're basically fighting a large tank-looking object, and everybody else is in like little cars, and that's the actual raid, way back in the day. But like with the bikes and the tank, that's what it reminds me of. So Vexy, I think, is just a terrific entry boss into the raid. She's very simple, very simplistic, I should say, but very memorable at the same exact time. So, you know, getting onto having the bikes like shoot across the screen and you have to dodge them, and then you get on the bikes and you fling them into the boss. Really cool. Vexy is a very well done boss. So Cauldron of Carnage, obviously boss number 2. Again, very notable, very memorable. It's freaking awesome seeing a Mecho T-Rex and a Mecho Gorilla. You know, Florindo and Torque, they are fighting it. You know, the intermission, they're in the middle of the arena just fucking going at it on each other, and there's shit flying all over the place. Super awesome fight. Super awesome fight. Very well done. Again, everything in that fight is very simplistic, very easy to see. There's no issues there. You know, the ball, I like the static charge idea too. Kind of unique, but really nice twist. So, you know, first 2 bosses are pure win, like in terms of visibility, mechanics, and the simplistics of it. So third boss, we move on to Rick Reverb. Rick is a little bit more of a messy boss, in my opinion. This is where the actual like graphic fidelity kind of falls off. Well, I won't say graphic, I'll say mechanic fidelity, right? So for some reason, they took a different path, right? So it's like we go from Vexy and the Cauldron of Carnage, which have very clearly telegraphed abilities, to Rick, which is not so much clearly telegraphed. His sonic, his frontal attack, it's seeable enough to work. I think in general, I think the Rick fight is a cool fight because I like the idea of the amplifiers. I think that's really cool. I like the idea of running to him during the intermission and you get blown up to get knocked over the ring. I think that's a really cool idea too. I think the overall concept of the fight is really cool. I just think that this is where like the visual clarity starts to drop off in the raid. So because his the cone is not that big of a deal. The amplifier is being placed is not that big of a deal. It's brown. It doesn't really blend in. It's seeable. It's for sure seeable. My issue is probably with like the echoing chant. I think that the sound waves that come out from like the amplifiers, I don't think that they are really well done. They should have been telegraphed a little bit better. They blend in just a little too much. But aside from that, I think Rick is still a really good fight. It's neat. It's cool. You know, I don't have a whole lot of gripes. He's not like super challenging. Obviously on heroic, it's a little bit of a different story because of all the ads that are you're dealing with too. So it is extremely chaotic. And that's more so when you get into like a lot of the issues with the visual clarity because of the echoing chants, and then you get mic controls. But I don't want to get like into the heroic stuff yet. So after Rick Reverb, then you move on to some people go to Styx and some people go to Sprocket. I'm going to start with Styx. Styx Bunk Junker is probably one of the coolest bosses in the arena, in my opinion, just because of the Katamari Damacy game mode that he has. So if you guys never played Katamari Damacy, first of all, I am so sorry because you missed out on an amazing game. Second, that is where you're on the ball, you're rolling around, you're picking up other balls, and you get bigger. So that's very well done. I love that mechanic. I think it's great. I think it's unique. I think it adds a very nice dynamic to the fight. My main issue with him is just, I feel like unless everybody, Styx comes down, it's a cluster, right? It's a cluster. So there is so much on the ground and so much effects going on that it is very difficult to see and keep track of things. Unless you have a group that is extremely coordinated and is actually clearing out the middle of the arena, it's a fucking nightmare. So, you know, and especially like if one person's ball gets destroyed for whatever reason, like if they spawn, you know, if they jump on the ball, they automatically run into the ball's done, right? You can become really, really overwhelmed. And then you couple that with like the garbage piles, and they're constantly being lit on fire. So you have like this large fire pools just everywhere. It comes down to like, there's so much stuff happening that it's just annoying. And that's probably why he was one of the more challenging bosses in terms of like the mythic difficulty. It's just that actually requires a lot of precise movement. I'm not saying like it's an overly challenging fight. I'm just saying that like in terms of like on normal and LFR, heroic, like it's just so much of a clusterfuck that it's hard to keep track of what's actually happening. And I think that's what kind of like drops the quality a little bit for me. But like I said, other than that, like the ball rolling and all that kind of stuff is like top tier, memorable, and amazingly good idea. All right. Now we're going to go to probably in my opinion, the worst boss in the raid, which is Sprocketmonger Lockenstock. Now, Sprocketmonger, it's a unique fight. I like it. I like how, you know, each part of the arena gets electrified. I like how you can run up and down conveyor belts. I like how the boss's abilities are delivered on conveyor belts, like his weapons, and then he activates them. Excuse me. I really like that idea. The biggest issue with Sprocket is straight up visually. There is entirely too much stuff going on the screen that you cannot see things. And it even gets to the point, especially after like the second intermission, when you have like the large void beams and then you also have the purple balls. It all blends together, and it's just stupid. It is by far the worst designed boss in the raid because of that. Everything blends together. It's very hard to tell what's happening other than like the one main ability, which is the void beams. Void beams is the only thing you can tell. And even then during the intermission is the exact same way. There is so much graphically going on that it is difficult to see the other mechanics. And that is just where it drastically falls off. So, you know, in terms of like the first set of bosses, you know, Sprocket is hands down the absolute worst. He is the worst boss in the raid. Like just straight up, Sprocket is the worst designed boss in this raid. The worst. So if you can get past him, then it honestly, it's not that much more challenging in terms of like, you know, normal behavior, normal difficulty. So can't really attest too much to the next few for heroic since I haven't really been there yet. But so let's talk about the next part. This is probably one of my next gripes actually and it's not boss related though. And this is the only gripe. No, I have a couple gripes, but in terms of trash. So trash isn't normally that big of a deal. Trash in any raid they always implement like a few mobs that are just really fucking annoying. And it's just dumb. Like trash, they, in my opinion, Blizzard does not do trash the correct way. They just don't. And it feels so filler that it's just a complete time waster. It is like a cooldown period, but they still give them just stupid mechanics. And I'll explain one of them that's coming up. But anyway, the trash that you encounter from going from the last boss, right? So you're in the main liberation part, going to the Galagio. I'm probably butchering the fuck out of this. So where you're going to the actual main building where Gallywix is, right? The trash to get from the Vexy hub all the way to the one-armed bandit is entirely too much. I like the aesthetic of the trash going there. I think going through a casino is cool. I think everything looks amazing, but I think it's just too long. It's too long. Like, It's just too long. There's no other way to put it, right? The mobs are primarily ranged, so you can't group them up. They'll stay back and just like throw stuff so they don't keep following you. So it just drastically slows down your progression, and it's entirely too long. They needed to cut out a good chunk of that. Like as soon as you go up the stairs, you should be at the boss. Like this whole like up, you know, all through the casino, then up the stairs, through 3 more rooms of the casino to get to the boss. It's just too much. They need to get rid of some of that. And I'll talk about the next trash in just a minute, because the worst trash in the game, in the raid, is actually right behind the one-armed bandit. So, you know, we'll get to that. But the one-armed bandit, who I thought was going to probably be one of the most difficult bosses in this battle, in this raid, turns out to be one of the most enjoyable, in my opinion. So the token, the idea behind the boss, right, is that the tokens, is that you have the ads, they have the tokens, you have to deposit the tokens, and you have to keep track, which I say you, but so many people would just use a weak aura because, you know, it hurts your brain to have to think for like 5 seconds about which icons that you need to use. It actually makes you think as far as, okay, there's 3 tokens. We've already deposited a shocking coin, so we can't put another shocking coin in. So there is a shocking coin, but there's a shocking fire. But there is a fire token. So we're going to take the fire token and we're going to use that instead. That way we don't buff the boss and wipe the raid. I thought the one-armed bandit would have been the most difficult boss in the raid. By far the most enjoyable. One of the most enjoyable in my opinion because of that. The combinations change up. You can always change how the game or how the boss is playing. And it's a lot of fun. I have really no complaints about it. I feel like all of his attacks are pretty easily telegraphed. I do think the fire flames need a circle around them, like the fire tornadoes. They need a circle around them. That way you can actually see them move across the field a little bit better because they do blend in. But like they deal such minuscule damage that it's really not that big of a deal. But like just with the coins rolling and like the different slot abilities, I think it's just a really well done boss. And I do want to go off on just a little bit of a tangent here because like I said, you know, I said you have to think, right? And it never fails that I get to this boss and I'm like, okay, because I've been raid leading and I'm going to talk about that too. So I get to the boss and I'm like, hey, you know, does anybody want to be on token duty? Okay, I will do call outs to tell you what to deposit, but just be on, but who wants to handle token duty? And it never fails, but like 3 people will link the weak aura and be like, you don't have to do call outs, just use the weak aura. And it's like, I get that so many people play the game and they just shut their brain off. But like that is like my biggest gripe with weak auras in general is because of that kind of thing, right? So they have a weak aura that actually examines the coins that are available, right? So it knows that the coins are there. It tells you which ones to put to make the fight the easiest. Okay, now you could simply know this by just reading or by playing the fight and doing the boss a few times. Primarily reading, which is how I figured out what combinations to use. But people would rather not worry about that and just say, spin to win, the ads pop up. Okay, the weak aura tells me to put in shock and coin. So that's what I'm going to do, shock, coin. And then it calculates for the next one. Oh, shock, fire. Well, we're going to do shock, fire. Like, I get it. You know, but it's just such an annoyance. It's such an annoyance. And it's like things like this are what make the game bad. Things like this are what make people say, oh, the game is so easy. It's not hard. Why is it? It's not even hard, bro. But because you have an add-on that's telling you how to play the fucking game. When Blizzard did a terrific job, like for once, they did a terrific job. So when the ads jump down, right? In the background, there are actually combos. So you'll see like a lightning and a coin. You'll see a lightning and a fire, a lightning and a bomb, and they're like paired together, right? They're all paired together, all in the background. So if you put in like, let's say the lightning and the coin, okay, you deposit that in the background, that combo disappears. It's gone now because you just used it. So what that means is the next time it does spend a win, let's say they drop that back out, right? So it's shock and coin again. If you look in the background, because you can't remember, right? You look in the background, that combo's not there, but you see a shock and fire. And it's like, oh, shock and fire. There's a shock and fire here. There's 2 adds, 1 shock, 1 fire. Shock and fire in the back. Haven't used the combo, so we can use that one. Like they set this boss up perfectly, and I feel like just people are utilizing an add-on just to trivialize it. And it's just like, you know, Blizzard gets so much shit, and I'm giving Blizzard shit because of stuff that's in the raid, right? But this is something that's actually really well done, and I just wanted to like throw it out there and be like, guys, if you're relying on a weak aura for this, you're missing out on basically just using your fucking brain. That's really what it comes down to, is that, I mean, spin to win lasts for 30 seconds. If you can't figure out in 30 seconds which combo you should be putting in when it's telegraphed for you in game, then I don't know what to tell you. All right, so let's talk about the next set of trash, because this is by far the worst part of the raid in terms of trash mechanics, and it is the Rangers. And I'm sure you guys don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what their actual name is, but their attacks apply healing absorbs, like repeatedly. So my Death Knight is a beast, obviously. So I can pretty much self-heal myself through anything. I don't really care. You know, I don't need a healer. I am a self-sustaining god, because that's what a Death Knight is. I can't heal through these guys. Like, I can't overheal their healing absorb because it's so stupidly overpowered. I wish they would just yeet them and get them out of the way, because they're so annoying. Trash mobs that have abilities like this are cancer for the game, and it's so trash is trash. It is there as a cooldown period. Trash is supposed to do 2 things, okay? Number 1, it is a cooldown period from going from one boss to the next boss, because boss 1, you're amped up, you're super focused, you're locked in, you're staring at your action bars, you're avoiding attacks, you're locked in. To get to boss 2, the trash is the time where you can like sit back, you can take a breath. It doesn't really matter. You're just chilling. You know, you're reducing your heart rate a little bit. You're getting ready for boss number 2, right? You're prepping. If you're in voice chat, you're talking about the next strategy or things, you know, what you did last night. Like, it's a cooldown period. Second, trash is supposed to introduce mechanics to the next boss. So you are now, I mean, technically there are healing absorbs in the next one, but they're not that extreme, right? So trash is supposed to do mechanics. Like, a great example would have been like going to the one-armed bandit, right? He has coins that he rolls, and if you stand by the coin, you get a buff, okay? That increases your damage and healing done. So the trash mobs before him should have an ability that they roll a coin at you. And if you're almost hit by that coin, it buffs you, because then it's like, oh, so if I stand by this coin, I get a buff. Well, that's good to know. So then when I get to the boss and I see that same coin mechanic, I know, okay, I'll stand by it and it'll buff me. But Blizzard doesn't really do that. It's kind of annoying. So by far the worst trash in the game. Let's go and talk about Mugsy. This is actually going longer than I thought. I had only put 5 songs on my playlist because I figured this was going to be a quick, short podcast, but apparently this is going like, we're going strong. We're 24 minutes in. All right, let's go. Mugsy. Woo. All right. Mugsy is a really cool boss. I like him. I think it's enjoyable. I like the idea of switching back and forth between the arenas, and you can kind of control who's taking over. I like that, you know, he has some really cool voice lines in there. And you know, I like that the mechanics, Mugsy is a very complicated boss, okay? And I like that the mechanics actually split. So like when you go to the left side, you know, you have Mug, and then when you're on the right side, you have Z. And the mechanics are completely different. I think it's cool. I think it's unique. You know, left side mechanics, you have towers, you have the crawler mines, which I can't wait to get to on Heroic, because that looks like a royal pain in the ass. And then you have like the rocket soaks, really cool stuff. I think it's I gotta say, you know, for having so many different mechanics on that, it is actually telegraphed pretty well. So including the tank soak that they have, very easy to see where the line is. I guess really maybe the only thing is like maybe the crawler mines, but I don't think so. Like I personally, I just feel like everything in on the left side is very easy to see. Go to the right side, we have you know, the Earthshaker jail, and yeah, we have the Earthshaker. So we have, you know, you have two different soaks, which I think are really well done. It's easy to see. You know, the ad, I think the ad, his frontal needs to be a different color. I do think that. I think that kind of blends in a little too much, so a little meh. But I mean, it's honestly like just stand behind the fucking the ad and you're fine. Like there's no reason for you to get hit. There's zero reason for anybody to get hit by the frontal. Straight up. The finger gun attack I think is also really cool that he does. He does two different ones. And then the final, Frost Shatter Boots doesn't really add a whole lot. That's easy and simple. And then I like the idea of like the gold knuckles where you have to run like the gold off. And if you don't, then you're kind of screwed for 30 seconds. You know, overall, Muggsy is a great boss. The intermission I think is really cool, how he like charges around and he does like a little spin where he's just basically shooting and spraying lightning everywhere. Phase 3, straight up DPS race. Phase 3 is beyond chaotic because everything that is going on. So phase 3 does have some visual issues, but still overall, like Muggsy is such a high stress fight in phase 3 that it is just really, really enjoyable. So there's a lot going on with like phase 1, right? But it takes it to a whole nother level in phase 3. Muggsy, very well done. I've enjoyed playing through him. I'm a little nervous about heroic, but you know, we'll get there when we get there. Chrome King Gallywix, final boss of the raid. What can I say? Like, a lot of people were bashing Blizzard because of like his difficulty. But a lot of that is like in terms of like race to world first. They're saying how like few pulls it took. You know, in terms of like Chrome King Gallywix is probably one of the best well done in bosses that Blizzard has done since I've played. It is very there's a couple visual issues, but overall it is easy to see everything that is happening and going on. So I like the entire concept of it. I like the big bombs exploding. I like the little bombs exploding everywhere. I like how he just kind of chills in the middle and he just mouths off to you the entire time. I like the Giga Coil aspect of like all the bombs and of having to take them to a panel and destroy them. Gallywix is just so cool. He's such a good final boss. Like the mech coming in and crashing down, he's like, all right, let's fucking go, bro. So he jumps into the mech and he's moving all around the arena now because he's really ready to kick your ass. Like overall, Gallywix is a great fight. It is nonstop the entire time from the moment that you pull him until the moment he dies. So unlike like Muggsy, where you have like phase 1, things are like chaotic, right? But it's not, you know, it's just everything's kind of moving along. And then phase 3 is just fucking chaos. That's how Gallywix is. Gallywix starts off as chaos because of all of the explosions, the constant healing absorbs, the constant explosions going on. And then you throw in a whole bunch of ads, you throw in the bombs, you throw in the lightning strikes and the Giga Coil blasts. And then you move in and you have multiple soaks, and then you have multiple even more soaks, and then you have the tank has a big bomb he's got to run out. Complete and utter chaos, but it's a very organized and structured chaos. The only issue I have is with his suppression attack when where's this fucking fly? when he does suppression, he raises his arm up and then he has like a lightning ring around him that will pretty much one-shot you, especially if you're a Clothy. Anybody like, I actually think it'll one-shot everybody under plate. I'm pretty sure plate are the only people that can survive it, if that. So because I know my shaman's been one shot by it, but I think he was kind of under geared too. So I don't really know. I haven't been hit by it since. So I can't tell you. I know my Death Knight doesn't give a fuck, but I mean, it's a Death Knight. Death Knight's, you know, blood DKs. We don't give a fuck about anything. Which is, it was like, oh, you got an attack? Well, I'm going to sit here and soak it and I'm going to get my HPS up. So the suppression ring, I think, needs to be a little bit clearer. I wish that had just a giant blue ring around him, honestly. Like, that would have made it so much easier. But other than that, dude, solid end raid boss. Woo! I just went on a 30-minute rant. A 30-minute rant. Okay, give me just a second, and then we're going to talk about I have a couple other stuff that I want to talk about. I'm out of coffee. I want to talk a little bit about Mythic Plus. I've dove into it. Like, for those of you that watch the channel, I stopped doing Mythic Plus last season. I just kind of got out of it. I was like, you know, it's kind of a pain in the ass. There's no real reward for it. It's annoying. They're steadily working on Mythic Plus to try to make it better. I want to give it a shot. And, you know, honestly, in terms of, honestly, it really comes down to, I've been loving this content update so much that Warcraft is the only thing I am playing right now. Okay. And like before this, it was not. I was playing, like, obviously, like with Nerobar, my downtime, I wasn't farming Mythic Plus, dude. I didn't care. I didn't like the area. I didn't like the dailies. I didn't like the weeklies. I didn't really like the raid, but I raided every week. But that was it. I logged on to raid and then I logged off. Like, I didn't do anything else. I was playing Path of Exile 2. I was playing, there's a couple other games in there that I played. It's probably on my channel. Regardless, I wasn't all that intrigued. I wasn't all that like hooked into the game. With Liberation, I just want to fucking play. Like right now, I want to be in game, checking out my, probably setting up a raid because I haven't done, because it was, you know, it's just a reset. So everything is wiped free. And I'm going to talk about that because I'm doing another community raid. I might do 2 community raids. So just hang tight. I'm going to discuss it at the very end. But I just want to be in game doing something. And you know, in my downtime, I cleared all of LFR. I cleared all of normal on my shaman and my DK. So I've cleared the raid a bunch of fucking times. And I'm like, I need crests. I need Valor Stones. I still need gear because I can't roll worth a damn. Like, what am I going to do? And I was like, well, you know what? Let's fuck it. Let's go into some Mythic Plus. So I ran a couple Mythic Plus dungeons. I've run a few of them. Got some raiding now. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going with Mythic Plus. I'm going to push some keys, and I'm going to get Keystone Master this year, or this season. So I don't know if I'm going to do it on my Blood DK. I'm for sure pushing it on my Shaman. I've really been enjoying Resto Shaman. Obviously, tanking is where I'm at, and is what I really, truly love to do. But having the opportunity to play a fun healer. Like, I've played Resto, I'm going way off topic, so I apologize. I played Resto Druid. That was my very first healer I ever played. So I like the idea of the hots and things like that. I played Priest briefly. I played Priest for season. Did I play Priest for, I actually think I did Priest for I did Priest for the end of Dragonflight. I don't think I did it for the War Within. I think I had planned on it, but I ended up gonna roll. I didn't play a whole lot during season 1. So when I had some downtime and when I was trying to still get back into it, prepping for season 2, I was like, you know what? I need to do a new character. So I grinded out for the Earthen Race. I unlocked the Earthen Race, and then I rolled a Shaman. Because the Shaman is something I've always wanted to play. So playing Resto Shaman, and I have truly loved playing as a Resto Shaman healer. Priest was cool, but it just didn't vibe with me like the Resto Druid did. I really vibed with Druid. I had a lot of fun playing Druid, but I wanted something a little bit different. And right now, man, like, Shaman is where it is at for me. I am loving it. So I'm going to grind out some keys with my Shaman. I might do some with my Blood DK. I don't know yet. We'll see how things go. But regardless, I'm going to grab the mount. I think the mount for Mythic Plus looks really cool this year. And yeah, that's kind of it there. So Speaking of Mythic Plus, I asked a poll on the channel for those of you that wanted anything to do with Mythic Plus. I think I will put out a few videos here in the coming weeks. I have stuff that I am working on, so I do apologize. The main thing was to get the raid out, which I fucked up and deleted the very first wing after it was already rolling, so it literally tanked my entire video, which is just, man, it still hurts. So, you know, this is just a YouTuber gripe, so you guys don't even know about it. But like when you post a video, it garners views and starts getting pushed. If you delete it and then re-upload it, that momentum is fucked. That video is fucked. Like so just to give you an idea, okay, in the first 48 hours, my Wing 1 video had 4,000 views. Okay, so 2,000 views a day. After I accidentally deleted it because I was a fucking idiot operating on no sleep and re-uploaded it, it took me 4 days to get there. I don't even know where the video is at, honestly. I'm going to pull it up really quick so I can see where it is. It is now at 5,400 views and it has been up for a month. So, oh man, like looking at that just really made me depressed. So that shows you like the vast difference. It went from 4,000 views in 2 days to 5,430. So that's what it just kills it. So, you know, it sucks. It feels bad. But at the same time, I'm working on a bunch of other stuff all together. Okay. I'm going to start. I do want to put out some Mythic Plus videos because guys have requested it. It's not going to be fully in depth like my raid guides. It is only going, like I've done Mythic Plus guides. They're on the channel. They're outdated. I'm so sorry. They're just from the beta. That's what I had to work with. I wanted to get them out for season 1. That way they were available. Things change. The dungeons are not the exact same. So it's not completely current. And I do apologize for that. But it is what it is. So any new videos that come out, but what I was saying was like those videos, they cover the trash and the bosses in a Mythic Plus dungeon. I'm not doing that in the future video. My Mythic Plus videos are only going to cover the bosses. I don't have the available bandwidth, sorry, in order to do it. It's a lot of work. The raids take up a lot of my time, especially with the cheat sheets. I don't have the same amount of time that I can dedicate to the Mythic Plus, but I can dedicate it to make sure that when you go up against a boss in the Mythic Plus dungeons, I mean, let's be real, right? There's not a whole lot to worry about with trash. It's simple. Look for something that's interruptible and interrupt it. That's basically what it comes down to, right? So, the main thing that I'm going to do with my guys is that when you get to the boss, you know exactly what's going to happen and you know exactly what to do about it. So it's going to be set up the same way as my raids. You know, the boss is going to pop up. It's going to be, you know, Kyrios for the Rookery as an example. You know, he's going to put a charge on you. Everybody needs to space out so you're not standing in a ring. It detonates. Other than that, watch out for the vast circles all over the place. And when he goes to the middle, there's going to be 4 orbs around him. Stay away from those orbs. Stay in the middle of them. They're going to shoot out, and then he's going to rotate either counter or clockwise, and just run with that while avoiding the rest of the circles. Once he's finished, he's going to jump into the arena marked by a circle. Stay out of that, and then resume phase 1. That's all it's going to be. And then I'm going to jump into like role specific duties. So tanks, what are you going to do for Kyrios? You know, DPS, healers, same setup, same thing. I'm going to do cheat sheets for it. Cheat sheets for those will not be the same as like my raid bosses because the mechanics are nowhere near as complex because it's Mythic Plus. So it's just going to be a text doc, a Google Doc. You can download it. Boom. Have it. Really quick, easy. Look off to the side. Okay. Kyrios, this. Okay. I'm a tank. I need to do this. Boom. We're in. Okay. That's what it's going to be. I'm going to start putting them out. Give me a little bit of time. Like I said, I'm working on some stuff. Speaking of working on stuff, videos that are coming, YouTube stuff. If you're not interested, then you can just skip. But if you want to know what's going on with the channel, I'm getting ready to give you just a little bit of an update here and things like that. Obviously, I'm working on Mythic Plus guides. Those are getting ready to be in the works. I say working, I haven't started them yet, but once I start, it's really simple and it's going to be pretty straightforward. I'll have them out and start pumping them pretty quick once I get rolling. the main thing, I'm working on a big project to take the channel and the content here to a whole nother level. And I have been working on this for like, well, I've been working on this since I got back from vacation, which is why videos have kind of slowed down a little bit. But at the same time, I was waiting because I needed to do the tank only, but I know you guys want a heroic with it. So I'm trying to get as much of the heroic cleared as possible. That way I can put out a tank only guide that covers every fucking thing. But you know, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, big project in the works that is going to make things so much easier, especially if you are an LFR player. And I'm not, don't take like I'm singling you guys out if you play normal, or if you are heroic, or even if you're mythic, or if you're a high key pusher. The content is still there for you. I'm just saying that in terms of when you go to places like Wowhead or Icy Veins, or other websites, they typically focus on the high-end play. And they kind of forget about the casuals. They kind of forget about those that are just wanting to play either LFR casually or normal casually. Like they're not targeted towards people that are like, that are just casuals. Okay, so I want to target casuals, but at the same time, we're targeting hardcore because, you know, at the end of the day, my goal is to take anybody that watches my content. I want to make you so comfortable that I want to make you so comfortable playing that you go out of your comfort zone and push yourself to do better. Okay, that's basically what it boils down to. Okay, the reason I do LFR and others don't, because I mean, maybe there are some other content creators that do LFR. I don't know. I haven't seen them. I do LFR because there are new people that come into WoW. They're old people, older players, but there are people that are so hesitant to jump into a group that they only do LFR. So my goal is to make them so comfortable that they understand the LFR aspect, and then to compare that to the normal and say, look guys, it's not that different, okay? There's literally almost no difference, and the difference that there is so minimal you won't even notice. So I want to take those people that are only comfortable playing LFR and I want them to play normal, okay? I want to take people that are comfortable playing only normal and I want to make them try to play heroic. Okay. I want to take people that are comfortable playing heroic and try to push them into mythic. You know, that is the idea. For those of you that are only comfortable running mythic zeros, or maybe you're only comfortable running only heroic dungeons, I want to push you into the next category, into the next tier. Okay, I want to make you play better. I want to make you more comfortable so you can enjoy more of the content and things like that. That is the overall goal of the channel. That is why we are called the Prefessional. That's why I'm called the Prefessional. That's why the channel is the Prefessional. It's taking you from a casual aspect all the way up to the point of being just below those top 1%. Okay, that's the goal. That's the goal. So big project I'm working on. Kind of lost track of what I was saying because I got off on such a rant here. But other stuff that are coming with the channel, Mythic Plus bosses are going to be coming up. I'm going to do the tank. Just please give me a little bit of time so that I can work through heroic a little bit more. Oh, speaking of raids, I did a community raid last week. Went amazing. I don't know if anybody was from the community or not. I posted it as a community raid. I put all my details in. Went really great. Really great. Great turnout. There was no toxicity. Everybody got along. We one-shot every single boss. DPS wasn't an issue. Mechanics wasn't really an issue. I had to explain just a few things. I had to do some call outs, but I mean, other than that, seriously, like it went really well. So this week, Thursday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, I will be hosting another community raid. It will be normal. And then I might host another one the same day. I don't know. If not, I'll push it. I might host a second one on Monday. So I want to do this every single week. I think it would be fun. It is fun. I can't really get any gear out of it anymore. Everything I'm in is champion. The only gear upgrades I can really get are heroic. I think I might have like one piece on each character that can be upgraded. But other than that, everything is kind of there. If you don't know mechanics, if you don't know how to do normal, this is a great opportunity for you. I explain things if it's needed. Everything is just very chill. The goal here is to get people into normal raids and to make them just have a good time and be very comfortable and learn the raid itself. So that's basically it. If you want to join in the community raid, the best place to do so is the Discord. That is where I will send a ping out when I start forming the group. Well, before I form the group, I will send a ping into Discord. Anybody that wants to play, jump in game, hit me up. I'll invite you. You get first dibs, and then we will jump into the raid. Other than that, yeah, it's an in-game community too. I have a link to that. You can join it. I'll send a ping there if there's players in there. But overall, man, we're gonna have fun. We're gonna keep things going. We're gonna have a lot of fun. There's a lot of things I'm working on right now. I have a lot of stuff in store. It just really comes down to time. But big project is going to be released soon. I don't have a time frame. Sorry. It for sure will be released before the next raid is released, because it is imperatively crucial that I release it and that it is available for the next raid. So, yeah, just keep an eye on things. YouTube, it's going well. You can expect Mythic Plus guides. You can expect a tank only guide. Again, cheat sheets for that are still available if you're a tank. I just don't have the footage yet for the last final bosses. Once I get that, then we'll be good. And yeah, so this podcast, episode 13, went on a long time. I apologize. I honestly thought this was going to be like a 15-minute, 20-minute tops podcast, and we are at 48 minutes. So thank you guys. Thank you to all the brand new channel members. Massive influx of channel members. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. And anybody that's interested, Prefessional merch. Gotta say, I dig the hoodie. I love it. This is my new gaming hoodie. So thank you guys. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.